皆さん、こんにちは。2025年の、2024年のね、アカデミックイヤーの最後の3月の終わりになるんですけども、今日の話はですね、面白い話が聞けるんじゃないかと楽しみにしてますけども、多くの外国人の人たちがですね、日本に移住して、観光じゃなくて本当に移住して、で、日本の中で、医療とか教育活動をされましてですね、日本の、ある意味では国際化ということに貢献されているんですけども、これらの人たちはですね、自分の本国、今日の場合はアメリカの国と日本の比較をしやすいっていう立場にあって、その中で日本のね、長所を活かしつつ、かつ日本の短所というか不足している部分を補いながら、日本の教育活動とか医療に貢献してくれているわけなんですけども、本日出演してくれますのは、もともとはカリフォルニアの出身の先生で、ジャネル・モロス先生ですね。現在、東京科学大学、医科歯科と、ジャネルの後ろにあるその医科歯科と、それから、東工大がね、合併して新しい大学ですけども、そこで活動されていまして、もともとナースの教育者としてですね、現在は、東京科学大学で、イングリッシュコミュニケーションみたいなことをね、主にされています。で、大変ユニークなバックグラウンドがあるので、その過去から現在まで語っていただいて、かつ今後ですね、日本の教育とか医療とか一体、あるいはイングリッシュコミュニケーションとかですね、国際化とか一体どうなってくる、そういうことをちょっと話していただいて、若い人たちにね、何かアドバイスをいただければと思いますので、じゃあね、今日はよろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
第146回未来の医師への贈り物、現在東京科学大学に所属するジャネル・モロス先生ですね。コミュニケーションは良い、医療の鍵という、キャッチフレーズで今日お話しいただくんですけども、英語でも日本語も両方ペラペラなんですけども、今日は少し英語の勉強がてら、主に英語で喋っていただけるんじゃないかと思いますけども、じゃあ、ジャネルよろしくお願いします。
Okay. If I did this in Japanese, I think you all would fall asleep very quickly. I'm going to try and do it in English
OK?
mostly. Okay, so it's very nice to meet all of you. Today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself and also give you some advice for how to improve your language skills.
はい。
Okay, so I was born in Los Angeles, California. Most people say Ina when I tell them Los Angeles because Los Angeles is known for its good weather. But Japan is much nicer in many ways because it has four seasons,
seasons, right?
right? And it also has a wonderful mass transit system. If you live in Los Angeles, you need a car.
That's right.
Here you can ride the bus, you can ride the train, bicycles. Um, this area where I live in Chiba and work in Tokyo, is very convenient compared to Los Angeles. So I moved to Japan in 1990
うん。
in February, and I was here 2 weeks and I got chicken pox.
OK。
My children got chicken pox. I got chicken pox. So it was my first introduction to the medical system in Japan.
I see, I see.
My neighbor took me to a very old doctor,
うん。
a very elderly doctor, and he still had glass syringes.
OK. Yeah, that's right. It's not like a plastic. Yeah, glass you used to use.
And I was a bit shocked. But eventually I recovered and started my life in Japan.
Yeah, but before that, in high school, you did pretty much athlete, but also you worked in Los Angeles as a nurse and many areas over here you uh,
Yes, yes.
wrote, but can you tell me a little bit about your activities before you came to Japan?
Sure. In high school, I was very good at running, so the track coach asked me to go out for the track team and the cross country teams, and I was pretty good. I came in fifth in California.
Oh, wow.
So I was a pretty good runner. And I grew up mostly with my grandparents, and they were farmers, and they raised a lot of their own food. And so I was taught how to prepare an animal for the table.
うん。
So during this process, I learned about the inside of animals and the
うん。
lungs and the heart and liver, and anatomy became very interesting to me. And so this started my dream of becoming a veterinarian.
うん。
But my high school counselors and my mother thought that this was too tough of a job for a female. So even though I continued taking science and math, Rike, I also took a lot of secretarial courses like typing,
うん。
shorthand, how to run an office.
で
And this wasn't wasted time because I learned how to type
うん。
on a typewriter,
オールドファッションタイプライター。
old-fashioned typewriter. Um, and all of these skills have become very useful as a faculty
う
member
ん。
because I know how to use Excel, I know how to make copies, I can do all of these things. So one thing I wanted to tell the students is try to have lots of
う
experiences
ん。
and varied experiences, right? Because it will help you in your career
そうそう
later.
うん。And you work as a nurse? Float nurse and ICU and etc.?
Yeah, in university, I took all the prerequisite science courses for becoming a nurse, joining nursing school. I took emergency medicine courses and became a certified EMT.
I see.
Worked in the ER as an EMT.
うん。
And then I challenged the nursing exam for nursing school.
うん、I see.
And I really enjoyed my time in nursing. I worked nights as a nursing assistant and an EMT, and then went to school during the daytime.
I see, I see.
So I think actually being able to work on the wards while going to school and learning was very useful
うん。
because many times in Japanese school you learn all of the kiso
うん。
and then eventually you go to the ward and sometimes you forget. But being able to work and learn at the same time it cemented it in my mind much better, I think.
Okay.
So I was a float nurse at first, which means you go to all the different floors and the different specialties where they need you. And after graduation, the maternity ward and the nursery asked me to come work for them full time.
I see, I see.
After I worked with them for a while, then I went back to school and got my certification for NICU.
うん。
And that's where I was working before my husband decided we were moving to Japan.
I see, I see. Oh, so because of your husband job, you decide to came together to Japan.
Yes, my husband is a laser and radiation specialist, and
Oh, I
he was
see.
offered a job here in Japan
Oh, I see, I see. Oh,
and
okay.
told me, let's move to Japan. And I said, eh? But but after the first few years, once I started to be able to speak and understand a little bit better, then I decided I wanted to stay here.
So before you came to Japan, 1990, you have no Japanese, exposure, no speaking Japanese at all.
No, there were I had some Japanese nisei
Oh,
friends in high school,
uh,
but so I knew how to use hashi,
I see. Okay, okay. How to eat then? That's
but
it?
that's it. So
Okay.
when my husband decided we were moving here, then I started studying ichi, ni, san, shi,
I see, see. Okay.
sumimasen, those things. Yes, I had no Japanese skills.
A lot of challenging. Okay. Anyway, that is 35 years ago.
35 years ago. Yes, a long time ago. I feel my purpose is to help others
うん、
to realize their goals and live easier lives, hopefully.
うん、
Um, I did the easier lives portion when I lived in the United States, helping patients to understand their diagnoses, what they needed to do. And then since coming to Japan, I've been teaching many, many students and faculty,
うん。
and hopefully a lot of them have reached their goals, and I'm still working on others. Hopefully they will reach their goals soon. Um, Moving to Japan was very difficult. As I said, the first, I got chicken pox, mizuposo, was difficult, but it was also difficult a bit psychologically because I gave up a career
うん。
that I really enjoyed. I also had to learn a new culture and language from square one. I went from being a professional to being a housewife.
That's right.
I think this is very difficult for a lot of people. Also, most people don't believe me, but I'm very shy.
Okay.
Um, like many Japanese, I don't like to make mistakes. So in the beginning, I didn't talk much.
I see.
And I really regret that because my spoken Japanese is still not very good.
うん。
Everyone always says, "Ah, もう十分ですよ." But in my heart, I feel that it's not enough.
Yeah.
So I always encourage my students to speak. You need to speak if you want to improve your language skills.
うん。
Everyone says, "Ah, 本3時間読みました." That doesn't help in your speaking.
うん。
And being able to read is important. Being able to understand by watching movies or whatever is very important. But you have to add
I
that
see, I see.
speaking.
Speaking.
If you don't add the speaking, your speaking is not going to improve by reading and listening.
うん、I see.
Yeah? So please learn from my mistake
あ、
and speak. If you can find someone to speak English with who will correct your grammar
うん、
and not just say, "Ah, 通じるですよ."
うん、
十分. That doesn't help
I see, I see.
grow. でしょ?
So you need someone who critically, tell you about what you're speaking, I guess.
Yes, yes, exactly. I would have loved to have someone who would correct me.
うん、
わじゃなくてが。
うん。
ここにを入れて。That would have been very, very helpful. But it's very difficult to find someone who will do that for you.
That's true, yeah.
So please, all of you remember to speak a language, you need to actually speak out loud.
I see. Okay.
Right? All right. So I sometimes lament, and I'm disappointed that I don't have hands-on practice here in Japan. But whenever I feel that way, my husband always tells me, "You're a teacher. By teaching the several hundred students you have every year, that reaches more patients than if you were just a nurse."
うん、
So I suppose this is true, but I still often miss working in the hospital
うん。I
and
see.
being with patients. But being able to teach my philosophy of patient communication is something that I do enjoy.
うん、
And hopefully the hundreds of students that I teach every year, some of them will embrace it and improve their communication with their
That
patients.
may be helpful for Japanese, healthcare system, for the patient and family, I guess.
Here, it's often very paternalistic, top down, doctor to patient, and the doctor uses very complex terms.
Yeah, which is not understandable for the lay person.
Exactly. In medical school, you learn medical terminology and very complex physiology of the body, but most people don't know how the body works. So they need someone in between doctor and patient who can explain all of these things if the doctor can't do it themselves. And I feel that's the role of the nurse. But unfortunately, many nurses here are too busy to do that, it seems. Okay, so um, I think
Oh, these are the things you mentioned already, yeah,
these are the
mostly.
things I mentioned, but here it is in Japanese in case I talk too quickly.
Yeah, the culture is you feel a lot of difference between California or United States and Japan. I think so.
Um, Especially Tokyo, there's a big
Uh,
difference between Tokyo and Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles, California is heavily Hispanic.
oh,
We have a lot of people from Mexico, from South Central America. So it's a very warm culture.
oh,
And, 精神的に, it's very
oh.
warm. People share with each other, they talk to each other,
Yeah.
even if they don't know each other.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Tokyo is a bit なんか冷たい.
So many people living, but many people doesn't know who is living next to you.
Exactly. When I taught junior high and high school, um, I would often in English class, I would say, "What is the name of the person who lives next door?"
うん
And they go, "Eh? 知らない." Eh? Really? You don't know who lives next door? Oh, 知らないよ. We're in my neighborhood, everyone knew everyone on the whole block, the whole street. People knew each other.
I see.
So this is a big cultural difference. And also what was very difficult to get used to is people would say, "Ah, いつかやろうよ."
うん、
やろうね.
うん。
I would think, "Oh, someday we're going to do this." But it's just なんか口だけ.
あ、なるほど、なるほど。
This is very difficult for foreigners, I think.
社交辞令ってね、実際はしないけども、一応そう言っとくっていう。
そうそうそうそうそう。それはすっごく難しいです。
なるほど。
You never know which is a real invitation and what is just, 社交的.
うん I see. Okay.
And as far as hospital culture, um, I was trained to be a patient advocate
うん、
and to tell the doctor what I thought the patient needed,
うん。
where it's slowly, gradually getting that way in Japan. But when I first came here, the nurse was just the assistant.
That's right.
Gaze, oh, hi, hi. You know, not so much someone who's supposed to think and help their patient to get better.
I see. That's true. Yeah. Japanese traditional nursing as a profession is just do whatever doctors, you know.
Whatever the doctor says, that's what they do. But when I teach nursing students, I try and teach them, you need to think. You are the link between the doctor and the patient. You need to think what is good for the patient. You need to be brave and talk to the doctor,
That's
not
true.
just listen to what the doctor tells you.
I see.
And all of you out there who are going to become doctors, please remember the nurse sees the patient
Oh, yeah.
every single day,
That's right.
all day.
Yeah.
Please learn to communicate with the nurse, and you can become a better doctor.
I understand that. We,
When I first moved to Japan, there weren't very many foreigners, and not like now.
mm.
So lots of children would say, "Ah, mama, mama, gaijin, gaijin." That doesn't happen anymore. But people were constantly asking me to teach them English
Mm.
or to teach their children English. And I was very hesitant. I didn't want to because I was a nurse and I didn't want to throw away being a nurse and become an English teacher.
Mm.
Uh, Luckily, I found a group that taught non-native Japanese women
Mm.
about pregnancy, childbirth, childcare. And through that, I met a pediatrician who encouraged me to teach at medical universities.
I see.
So this work has been very rewarding. I've been able to guide many medical, dental, and nursing students to attain their goals, like I've said before. And I feel my role is not only teacher, but life mentor. I help them a lot, not with just studies, but being able to get through school because school
Mm.
is very stressful, and also through their first 2 years after school.
Mm. So
Okay.
you have been teaching in a medical school, dental school, and the nursing school, all these areas?
I teach in all these areas currently, yes, and I have for the past 20 years.
Oh, I see, I see.
So, where I work currently started as a favor to a friend. Where she worked had a group of students who were trying to pass telephone interviews.
Mm.
We had used to have to do telephone interviews for clinical clerkships in the USA.
Mm.
And these students were having a really difficult time, and they felt that none of them were going to pass. So they asked me to come in and provide intensive practice for the students. And after much hard work, all of them passed.
Oh,
So since I was able to do that, I'm not sure how, they asked me to come work for them full time.
mm.
And since then, I've created lots of preparatory courses for students to practice not only English, but clinical skills before they go overseas.
I see, I see. Okay.
I think it's very important that you practice what you're going to do on the ward before you go to clinical rotations. If you don't do this, you're going to wind up like many Japanese who go overseas and sort of stand at the back of the group
Mm.
during ward rounds and not say anything.
Yeah, that's no good.
And that's no good. Some universities say, oh, we don't need Japanese students because they're ghosts.
Mm. Ghost, I see. Okay.
Right? They never say anything. They're not memorable.
Mm.
I I want to try and teach students to be able to have confidence so they can say, "Oh, I think the treatment plan should be,"
Mm.
during ward rounds or case presentations. So, um, if your university has experiences where you can go overseas, please start from a young age.
Mm.
If it's a 10-day experience in Taiwan,
Mm.
go.
Mm.
You'll learn, it will broaden your viewpoint.
I see. So these days, a lot of opportunity to go many countries, not just the United States, Hawaii, or many Asian countries. I think many medical school has a connection with the Asian countries, and they send the young people there, or they're accepting, uh, the foreign visitors. That's I think
Yes,
it's a good change, for Japanese environment or education or healthcare. I think.
I agree. please don't think of America as the only place to go,
Yeah, right.
right? You live in Asia. Learn more about different Asian countries, right?
Yeah, that's,
Taiwan is wonderful. It's a good first step because a lot of Taiwanese also understand
yeah,
Japanese.
is very Japanese friendly, yeah.
They're very Japanese friendly. Thailand is also a great place to go because they're very friendly people.
Mm.
So try if you feel my English is not good, I'm afraid to go overseas. Try Asian countries first. Build up your English. Then take the next step to England or Europe or the United States.
That's true.
Mm. And a lot of universities have international grad students.
Mm.
A lot of these international grad students are actually quite lonely.
Mm, oh, I see, I see.
And they're very willing to have language exchange.
Uh-huh.
They're trying to learn Japanese. You're trying to learn English. You can have lunch together and talk about each other's countries, and both of you can improve your language skills.
Yeah, that's a good way to, learn English, but also communicate with foreigners, I think.
And broaden your cultural viewpoint.
It's true. Okay, that's a good idea.
Advice. So, my advice to you is don't wait for others to help you.
Mhm.
Do your own research about what your goal is or what country you're going to visit and take steps to reach your goal.
Mhm.
It's not bad to ask for help, but if you can do some planning before you ask for help, the person you ask for help will be much more willing to help you
I see, I see.
than if you go in teibanashi, Ah, 何もわからない、手伝って。If you say,これ調べたんですけど, and then ask for help.
I see.
Me as faculty, I'll be, ぜひぜひ、何? You know, what do you need?
I see. So
Uh,
to be a more active learner and also a very more practical, I think activity or request you have to do, I think.
I think so. I think so. And the internet is wonderful, but if you can also try to talk to lots of different people in the profession that you're interested in, or someone who's good at something that you would like to challenge, that will help you even more. Okay, so for the future, so preparing yourself for the future, as I said before, experience and challenge many things. You may think, 心配するからやだ. I don't want to, like me. But don't do that, Try it. So you fail. If it's not something life or death, it's not a
That's true.
big deal, right? You will learn something even from failing.
That's right. That's right. I always say that uh, experience with failure is much better than no experience.
Exactly. You said it much better than me. Yeah. I, in at the very beginning of classes, I always say, ここで間違えてもいい。
Mm,
病
yes.
院で間違えないで。
なるほど。
授業中は間違えてもいい。Right? So if you make a mistake in the classroom, then you're going to learn,
うん
right? So um, many people say, "Oh, I'm too busy right now." Right? I'm too busy. Someday I'm going to do this. Quite often, if we say someday never comes.
Never happened.
We don't get around to it. So try and challenge things now. Try and find room, right, to challenge things now.
Right.
You'll find out that you probably have more time during your university years than when you become a professional. Right? So, improving. If you want to improve something, whether it be a language, medicine, playing tennis, whatever, you need to be able to do it, right? Um, you, when you become a doctor, you need to be able to discuss with your patients, right? So practice discussing things with a friend or practice discussing with these international grad students I brought up earlier. If there's some topic that you really like, join a discussion group,
うん。
right? And once you actually describe something to someone else, you're going to remember it better. You can write all you want, but actually speaking, you remember it a lot better.
I see. Okay.
So, um, I help lots of people with their presentations, 学会の前.
うん。
I help them with their presentations. If you're going to give a presentation, if you're going to rotate on the hospital wards or perform procedures, the number one thing is practice. Okay? Practice, practice beforehand.
Okay.
If you do that, you're going to gain confidence,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
right? And you won't be so nervous when you actually go to do it. So, and what I say on the bottom down here, try and turn I can't into I can. I love teaching medical interview, physical exam, patient communication because it makes me feel more like I am really a medical professional, not just an English teacher. So, in my future, if possible, I'd like to continue helping medical, dental, nursing students, and also new doctors polish and practice these skills. I also enjoy helping people practice their presentations before they go to the gakkai and practice questions. I often ask them questions and they go, "Ah, そうね.
うん。
Oh, 考えてなかった."
うん。
So this practice is not only by yourself, but if you practice with someone, they can help point out places where you aren't explaining enough or ask you questions before the actual Q&A session at the gakkai. So
Good.
hopefully I can continue this until I get too old to do so.
You are still very young, so you have a lot of time to do that you can.
Okay. So in conclusion, I feel many things are important to live a full life. You can't just concentrate on one thing.
Mm.
Broad viewpoint, as I'm always teaching, is very important. And broad experiences also are important. They help you to understand things better, communicate with people better.
Mm.
And you may not know it at the time you're doing something, but experiencing new things keeps your mind active. And you may find out someday that it's very useful. To keep us going, to keep us young, I think we all need a purpose. Mine, I've decided, is helping others, however that helping may be,
Mhm.
whether it's helping the neighbor next door prune their trees or helping students to learn something new. Um, in medicine, we do team idio, right? We work with many different people, many different professions. So working in a group is very important. Okay? Start learning how to work in a group at school, high school,
Mm.
university. Learn how to work in a group, learn how to work with others. And if you can work with people who have different interests, different backgrounds, you're going to come out with a better outcome because you have, again, many different viewpoints. And by doing so, you're going to be networking, right? You're going to build a network of peers, which is very helpful in your career.
Yeah, particularly for physicians, it's very important, yeah, because they work with many different profession and specialties. So networking, yeah, I agree. It's very, very important.
Yeah, and if you can start learning how to do that from high school age or even younger, it's going to help you immensely in your future. Okay. Friends, family, so social networks are very important. I mean, if you look at and read about depression, right? If you read about some psychological disorders or aging, dementia, they're always talking about socializing, right? So there's a saying, right? All work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy.
What do you say?
All work
Huh?
and no play
Uh-huh.
makes Jack a very dull boy.
Oh, I see.
So studying is important.
Uh-huh.
Socializing is also important. I'm not telling you to go play all the time, but you need to find a balance. If you can find a balance between schoolwork or working in a clinic and socializing, you're going to be much happier and you're going to be much healthier.
I think so, yeah.
Right? You need to, again, have a broad viewpoint, a broad social network as well as work network.
I see.
And if
So
you have,
in that sense, you say the variety, different kyomi or hobby, whatever, is also helpful. Right?
it's very, very helpful because otherwise all you do is think about medicine.
That's right.
Right? It's good if you can think about something else, use a different part of your brain.
Uh-huh.
Hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
so like you said on the last one, variety, right? Variety is the spice of life.
Uh,
Okay.
oh, it's a nice word, spice of the life, I see.
Right? It, spice in food makes the food more interesting and
Uh-huh.
tastes better,
Right.
right?
Uh-huh.
Variety is the same. So I enjoy learning new things and not always doing the same thing. I think it's something that keeps me a little bit younger.
That's true. Me too. All right. Thank you very much. It's a very good words for the younger generation, I think.
Thank you for having me here today.
Uh, Thank you, Janelle. I think your experience, after you came to Japan, which you talked today, was very helpful for young generation who may live in a not much more global, world, not just within Japan. And particularly speaking English, not just writing or listening, speaking English is always important. And I agree. And more like a practice or doing a practice or experience in a different areas is, as a physician, often they know well about the medicine and the healthcare, but when you talk to the patient doesn't know well about the medicine itself, but they have more different background. And to discuss with these different type of the patient, I think physician also need to know some background about knowledge or experience in a very different areas. So I always tell the young people, particularly high school student or young, medical student, don't, just go to the school and, learn the medical knowledge, but also go outside of the medical school and learn many different and make a networking friends with other different specialties or different areas. That's unfortunately now in Japan, medical school particularly so busy, they have to pass the examination and other things. Doesn't have much time to do something else, but that's very important. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. It's very important.
アメリカの、ね、私の子供アメリカですけども、みんなちっちゃな頃からね、結構いろんなことを経験するのをね、とっても、日本はこう、確率的に同じことを、こう、平均的に、教育していくっていうのか、アメリカはいろんなね、いろんなこっち向いた人、あっち向いた人、いろんな子がいるけども、それをうまくね、こう、バラエティというか、ミクチャーで教育するって、あれはとってもアメリカのいいとこかなと思いますけどね。
Japanese students who went to elementary school in the United States and then came back to Japan, their thinking is much different
うん。
than Japanese,
I
right?
see.
Than those who just went to school here in Japan. So
Yeah.
I think it's very important to try and think about why. Why is this happening?
Yeah, that's right.
Instead of just listening to lectures at school and doing the exams, you need to think of why and how can this be put into practical use, not just memorize everything.
I see.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have you ever been to Hawaii before?
Yes, I've been to Hawaii a
Good.
couple of times. Yes.
Come here again, And then when you come Hawaii, do you know this sign?
Yes.
It's called a shaka sign. And in Japan, like a peace or good, it's like a how are you, hello, welcome, good morning. Always we do this sign. It makes your friend much easier. So if you come to Hawaii, always use this. And please let me know when you next come to Hawaii.
Thank
Maybe
you.
we can get together.
Thank you. I would love to see you.
All right, thank you very much, Janelle, and I hope we can work together some more.
I hope so. Thank you very much for having me again, as I said.
Okay, thank you.
これは良かった？
とっても良かった。うん、役に立ったと思う。やっぱり
Okay.
ね、私インタビュー、このプレゼンテーションね、日本の人たちにやってもらってるし、それからハワイのね、先生たちにも、あるいはアメリカの先生たちにもやってもらってるけど、多分、こう、ジャネルみたいに、こう、日本に移住した人っていうのは、あんまりいなかったと思うので、
そうだと思う。ほとんどなんかハワイに住んでるとか、アメリカに住んでるとか、でも、アメリカ人は日本に引っ越した人はなかったと思う。
あんまりいないと思う。何人かいるかな。ガータム・デスパンデっていうのは、日本人引っ越したって、彼は、もう日本に長いこと、同じような感じですけども、でも、ジャネルはね、そういうバックグラウンドがまたナースとかいろいろあって、で、今、イングリッシュコミュニケーションってことなんで、とっても役に立ったと思います。どうもありがとうございました。はい、じゃあまた、健太郎と僕、しょっちゅういろいろやってるので、そのうちまた、3人でね、お会いして話すような機会があればいいと思ってますので、またよろしくお願いします。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.